So here's
Okay.
what I'm going to ask you to do, because I want to make good use of our time. And I also want to say thank you. It's actually wonderful. We haven't seen everybody together like this in so long. So it's wonderful to see everyone. If you would at this time, I would appreciate it if you would mute out. And just because we want to make sure that the person who's speaking is heard and we don't have any extra background noise. Thank you. And any new people coming in will be muted out. All right, so I would like to begin with an opening prayer, and then we'll call this meeting to order. Sound good? All right. Lord, as we are here, although we are not here in the presence of the church inside the building, in the sanctuary, we are all at our homes. We are still together as one. And as you say, where two or three are gathered in your name, your spirit is present. And we thank you, Lord, that we will have this opportunity to talk about the business of the church, what we've done in the last year, things that have affected us as a congregation, and how we look towards the future to try to implement your will and your kingdom in the world. And I thank you that everybody has taken their time today to be here, and I hope that it would be a productive and informative meeting. Amen. All right, I would like to call this meeting to order. Laura Carlson is do we have a confirmation of quorum right now?
Yes, we do.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that. As we go into the meeting, if you have questions, I would like you, if you don't mind, I have the chat open. If you would please post them in the chat and indicate, you can actually post them there and I will ask them. Or if you would like to verbally pose the question, you can do so as we are going through. But I need to see it there in the chat first. So I prefer you would do that as opposed to turning on your microphone and asking. We will be there. Laura Carlson will be looking at the chat as well. And so if I miss anything, she will let me know, okay? Just so that you all are aware of that. So if you have questions as we go along, feel free to put it into the chat and I will then recognize you, or I will ask the question on your behalf. Does everybody understand? All right, because it's a little hard with everybody being separate like this. All right, so I would like to begin by calling on T.C. Anderson, and he is, of course, responsible for our new members, and I just want to give him a moment to talk about that. T.C.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Alex. So in 2020, we received 4 new members and 11 new confirmation youth who joined the church, and then right after our February new members class and confirmation thing is when all of the fun that we have all been experiencing for the last forever has happened. And so we really haven't done any other new members stuff at all until this year. And we're doing a remote new members class just next week. So that's very exciting. But that is why we have much lower numbers than we have had in years past. And so those are the new members we have, those 4 plus the 11. That is my report.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that, TC. I would now like to recognize Judy Hockenberry. And we have, of course, if you should have received all of the information, it's on the website if you didn't get it, and downloaded the bulletin and whatnot, but all of the milestones for memberships, I'm going to let Judy speak to those right now.
We are really a blessed congregation in that we have so many people who have stayed with us for so many years. And some of this is changing rapidly as our longest time members are dying or unable to be in worship anymore. And our newer members, a lot of the members that have been brought into the church over the last 5 or 6 years are here for a few years and then they move away, either back to be closer to family or they move for job opportunities or for better weather or less taxes or whatever it may be. So we will not continue to see the wealth that we have these days in terms of longevity of membership. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Myrtle Jasson, who has been a member now for, I believe it's 83 years. This is the only church she has ever been a member of. So congratulations to all of you who have passed a 25-year mark, a 40-year mark, 50, 60, 75. We are blessed with you.
Thank you, Judy. I appreciate it. So I want to take a moment. This is the point where I'd like to talk about the state of the church. And there's two portions to this. One is just a portion that I'm going to be speaking through. And then the second is a video that I would like to show you. And that video will give you a little sense of what's been happening. So I don't need to tell you, as you've heard TC and Judy talk about, 2020 has been an incredibly unique time in the history of our church and our world. March 21st, next week, will mark 1 year since we canceled our indoor worship services. And, while some other churches have decided to return to hosting in-person worship indoors, your session, the elders and the leaders of the church, they made a decision that we would offer our services virtually. And when the weather cooperates, we offer our outdoor parking lot services, which many of you have participated in as we've done them. Generally speaking, I have to say that I've been really impressed with the tenacity, the resourcefulness, and the resilience of our community. You all have really stayed engaged, even though we have not been able to gather together for regular worship. And when I look at how we're doing compared to many other churches, and I have seen how many other churches are doing, we are faring quite well. Although our revenue is down, we have come out with a net positive for the year. You're going to hear Carl Anfinson talk a little bit more about that during the Administration and Finance report. And what this tells me is that you all are incredibly generous. You continue to support the church in spite of the limitations and restrictions that are preventing us from gathering. And as I stated in my stewardship sermon back in November, I was not sure when all of this started if we would be able to maintain what we had in the past. I wasn't sure what was going to occur, and you all really stepped up. To the degree that we are able, we have been offering programming at our church, and this has been for children all the way up through adults. And we have been providing opportunities for education and some mission opportunities. And some of this has been rather innovative. We've actually had to lay new groundwork for how Presbyterian churches will be collaborating in the future. We're going to continue doing that into the future. And we've done our best to provide our care for you in the midst of these major life transitions, births, deaths, sickness. As you'll hear from Phyllis Orzechowski during the mission report, due to your generosity, we were able to help a lot of people who are struggling to pay bills and to make ends meet. We've also done our best to remain connected to you in terms of your spiritual and mental health. And in fact, in the next week, you're going to be seeing an initiative that was spurred on by Kristen Michalzik and Sharon Ferdinand to hear more about the toll the pandemic has taken on you personally. And so there's going to be an opportunity for you to fill out, it's a pandemic reflection worksheet, in a sense, is what it is. It's a form, and it'll provide you with an opportunity to tell your story about how the pandemic has affected you personally and how we as a staff can better serve your needs. And I hope that you'll take the time to fill that out, because it's a way for us to stay connected to you, to hear your story. Many of you have been suffering in silence, and you just kind of say, well, I'm going to handle it, and that's what good Presbyterians do, right? But I think that you all need to have the opportunity to actually say, this is what's happened to me, and we want to hear from you in that way. Many of you have stayed in close contact, writing to me after my sermons to express your continued appreciation for our effort to bring you quality worship, even when we can't be together in the same space. We average about 220 views of the service each week, and there's usually multiple people watching on each computer. I've heard of people drawing family and friends in from all over the country. Many churches actually don't have the capacity to do church in the way that we do. And so our church has become their home and the time away, which has been really, really nice to hear about, and that we can be there for them. I want you to know that I like actually seeing you all here in person, and I can't even see you all because we're limited to 25 per screen. But I can tell you that I've realized, a big thing that I've realized is that based on being an introvert, I tend to think my own connection with God is my individual connection with God. And this pandemic has taught me how much each of you play a role in helping me feel connected to God. And so I think that probably that is true for many of you as well, that by not being together, we feel disconnected from God. And so hopefully sooner rather than later, we can get together and feel that again. My prayer for our congregation as we come closer to returning to a more normalized schedule, which is in the future, is that we would do our best to remember that our first priority is being disciples of Jesus and building God's kingdom. And if we can put that at the forefront of our minds and make that the goal of our lives, then not only will we be able to heal from this pandemic, but we will also be able to forge a new path forward towards a bright and positive future. And so to that end, I want to end my portion of the video here with the video that I talked about. Now, this video was actually cut together by Connor Stanley. Normally, as you know, I do almost all of our video work here at the church, but he was our communications intern over the summer. And he did various video and photography projects for us. And this was his big project that he put together for us over the summer. And it's to tell you a little bit about what the session has been working on. And I've been really looking forward to showing you this video just so that you can get a sense. And you're going to hear after this video, it's going to lay the groundwork for what you're going to hear later on in this meeting. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to let you all listen to this. So turn your sound up if it's not already up so that you can hear it well. Let's see. Okay. All right. Hopefully this works.
Hello, my name is Cynthia Hiskis, and I'm currently serving as an elder on session. Although we haven't been able to gather as a community on Sunday mornings, we wanted you to know that your session continues to meet monthly and is hard at work. Session committees continue to find new and innovative ways to execute our programming in the midst of the pandemic. The diligence and creativity here has been heartwarming. What you may not know is that we're also planning for the future. The purpose of this video is to introduce you to 3 new task forces that have been put in place to do that work. We want you to know why they are important and what they are. The 3 task forces are the Visioning Committee, the New Business Task Force, and the Capital Campaign Committee. Let's take a look.
Hello, my name is Mike Noble. I'm on the Capital Campaign Committee, and I want to talk to you a little bit about why it's an important thing to do for the church. The campaign is called Defining a Decade, and the interesting thing about that is we've looked at it from the standpoint of building pillars that are important not only for the church but for the community. And the interesting part about the concept of a decade is we are in a new decade. 2020 has been an interesting year so far, to say the least. But more importantly, it's looking forward. And I know that there are lots of members in this church who really are excited about the opportunity to leave a legacy, a real footprint that's important for the long-term survival of churches and this church in specific.
Hey everyone, my name is Keith Alley, and I'm the committee lead for the New Business Task Force. You may be asking yourself, what is the New Business Task Force? Our committee has been asked to come up with new revenue-generating business for the church, to focus in 3 areas. First, a revenue-generating business for the church. Second, an opportunity and engagement with the community to give back. And third, an opportunity to build our membership base. Now, throughout this process, we've looked at a lot of opportunities. We've looked at cleaning service, we've looked at a recycling center, we've looked at child daycare, and we've looked at a fitness facility. Ultimately, all of those are still being discussed internally, and we look forward to sharing a lot more with you in the coming months.
Hi, I'm Kristen Michelsick, and I'm helping the church with strategy and communications. We right now are really looking at how to nurture discipleship in our church. And it's not enough just to say you believe. We have to do the hard work and we have to sacrifice. And we want to be that church that is an example of how to sacrifice. Really turning everything that we've been learning about Jesus's teachings into real action in our world today.
My name is Kristen Aldrich. I'm a resident here in Arlington Heights. My husband and I became members of the church about 1.5 years ago. I think there's a lot of families like us who come to Arlington Heights because of the great downtown and wanting to have that city life in the suburbs and find out about the church that way. What we've been doing is just having conversations about how we can bring the church into the future, what types of upgrades need to be made to ensure that families can continue to raise their kids here, and that the services and the structure provided for them continues to grow into the future. So things like ADA accessibility, expanded areas for kids as they go to Sunday school or PDO, and all of that. I think it's important for us to be thinking about now and figuring out so time doesn't go too far down the line and we're not able to fix things.
As you just heard and can see, there are many exciting possibilities for the future of First Pres. We are working hard to capture them and bring them to life. The feedback from the congregational survey has prompted us to consider how we organize ourselves and spend our time. There are many wonderful resources at our church, within our congregation, and our community. It's our responsibility and wish to create an environment and a structure that allows everyone to use their God-given gifts in pursuit of our mission. In particular, we are considering how the elders can play a more active role in guiding the church. This shift, in addition to the 3 futures committees that you just heard about, positions us well to define and execute the exciting work that continues to build our foundation and focuses on a bright future so that we can continue to be the light of the people in Arlington Heights.
All right. Hopefully everybody was able to hear and see that. Yes? Okay, great. All right. So with that, that lays the foundation for where we're headed today. I would like to now call on Katie Washko, who is the former chair of our Children's Ministries Committee, to talk about children's, and TC Anderson, the associate pastor for children, family, and youth, who's going to talk about youth. So go ahead, Katie and TC.
Well, had I known I was going to have to follow that nice video, I would have maybe come up with something a little splashier, but you've got me. It's been my pleasure to serve as chair of the Children's Ministry Committee for the past 3 years. The committee is now in great hands with Amy Lumsden as chair and Katie Allen continuing as director. I would like to thank Katie, the committee members, and the congregation for the much needed support you all provided in 2020. As you are aware, the year brought many challenges, but with some creativity, actually a lot of creativity, and the help of technology, we were able to stay connected with the children and explore our faith in new ways. The many programs we were able to offer are outlined in the annual report, but I would like to highlight just a few. Vacation Bible School, a 5-day at-home multi-age curriculum was developed in-house and sent to every family who signed up for Vacation Bible School. Mission Factory, 12 5th and 6th graders joined a hybrid Mission Factory program this summer. On-site and at-home activities were provided so that each child who wished to participate was able to do so in a way that felt comfortable and safe to them. The Loaves and Fishes Garden. Families were invited to help tend the garden on Saturday mornings and Wednesday evenings throughout the summer. All the weeding, watering, and harvesting help were much appreciated. At-home projects. Beginning in October, Children's Ministries began offering at-home projects for families. These included mission opportunities, challenges, games, and crafts. And finally, Trunk or Treat. Children's joined up with youth ministries, and we were able to offer a trunk or treat for First Pres families and friends in October. Throughout the year, we were able to provide our children and their families opportunities to grow in their faith in a safe and effective way. We thank the congregation for supporting us in all of our efforts, and we look forward to a great 2021. Are there any questions? I don't know, Alex, if anything's come up in the chat.
No questions in the chat so far.
All right, TC.
Thank you, Katie. Similarly, Youth Ministries would like to thank you for your support. You've always been very supportive of Youth Ministries in this church. And I also want to say I'm stepping in for Nick Lopazinski and Tim Hurley, neither of whom were able to be here for this meeting. So that is why I'm talking again. That's why you get to hear from me. Before we had our shutdown, we had our annual Jans Jam, where we bring out 70 to 80 youth every year and put them in buses, and we do a bus lock-in. And we were able to do that last year again, and it was really a great thing. We also finally found a middle school retreat in Pilgrim Center, Wisconsin, that really works for us, and the kids had a great time, and we were very excited to come back the next year. Unfortunately, we have not been able to do that this year. Over the summer, we did at-home mission trips where we put packets together, shipped those to the youth, and they were able to do things for their home and their community in a safe way. And then this fall, we did a hybrid model of meeting in person outside around a fire pit and meeting on Zoom. We were able to do some fun stuff like a parking lot movie, and we did a murder mystery party on Zoom and an escape room on Zoom. So because of your support, we're able to continue to figure out ways to continue our programming even though there is a pandemic. And the youth have participated in these things and seem to be very thankful for a chance to see each other, especially when we were able to be in person, but also when we're on Zoom, see each other regularly. So thank you for your support. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
All right, thank you, TC. Now I'd like to call on Phyllis Orchitowski, who is the chair of the mission committee, she just rolled off, but she was the chair this past year, and she's going to talk about our mission in the church.
Good morning, everybody. 2020 was a busy year from the mission perspective. Based on how isolated and confined we were last year, I know that sounds hard to believe, but it's really true. And I'd like to thank all the members of the mission committee for their work and their support. We look at giving in kind of three different areas. One is we call foundational, which would be giving to our Presbyterian and local mission programs. We believe are foundational to the church and have active participation by our church members. Financial contributions were made to our presbytery, to Faith Community Homes, and the local homeless program run by Journeys, the Road Home. Our PADS program was unable to host guests last year because of COVID-19, but through your generosity and giving, we were able to provide 7,300 breakfasts and lunches and 2,500 dinners to those individuals. I need to say that again, 7,300 breakfasts and lunches, 2,500 dinners. That was only possible because of the money, the food, and the time donated by so many of you. In March last year, we opened our church as a warming center for Journeys, which was staffed by our church volunteers. I heard that TC and Ellen play a mean bingo game, so that was fun. During the summer, we provided summer suppers and a garden produce giveaway to the neighbors in our community. It was really heartwarming to see people come and get that the fruits and vegetables and say thank you and how appreciative they were. Another area of giving is in travel. After evaluating our longtime travel missions, we decided to phase out the South Dakota and Dominican Republic missions. South Dakota mission is now finalized, and the DR mission is on a phase-out program that will end in 2023. When we are finally able to travel again, the mission committee hopes to identify missions that will have increased member participation. The last area of mission we call discretionary giving. And what that is a one-time allocation of mission money to needed causes or organizations based on their circumstances or requests. As you can imagine, in 2020, there were a lot of circumstances and requests. Our church provided assistance to many. A substantial donation was made to the Presbyterian Disaster Assistance Fund to assist people who were and support them who were affected by natural disasters. We also donated funds to the Inclusive Collective, which is at UIC campus, the Greater Chicago Food Bank, the Kenneth Young Center, Salute Inc., Chalice House, Concerns of Police Survivors, Chicago Survivors in the Congo Schools. And it was a significant amount of money that was spread out through all these different groups. But it wasn't just financial donations. Our church participated in 2 collections for Wings. One was Easter baskets and one was school supplies. Also, paper good drives for Faith Community Homes and the Kenneth Young Center. In January of last year, the 3rd annual Martin Luther King Day of Service was held. Members participated in that, serving food to those in need. We also participated in the PCUSA Week of Action and held Friday night vigils at our church. Just this past December, church members yet again supported Meals on Wheels by doing contactless deliveries. So yes, 2020 was a busy year and a giving year. All of this is only possible because of your generosity, your spirit, your time, and support. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Phyllis. There's no questions in the chat, so I appreciate the time. Thank you. We're going to move on now. I'd like to call on Bob Churchill, who is the chair of Stewardship, to report on 2020 giving and our Stewardship Campaign.
Good morning, everyone. I hope we're all doing well, and I hope it doesn't snow that much today. All right, Stewardship 2020 was a difficult year. We had many things planned. Obviously, as you can see, we were going to do the members luncheon again for those members 70 and plus, but that was canceled due to COVID. We plan on having the food trucks again at the annual kickoff event, which was postponed due to COVID. We did start our bookmark initiative, which was postponed after COVID hit, but we will institute that again for 2021. In 2020, our stewardship campaign was titled Manna from Heaven. Our final giving numbers for 2020, I got the actual numbers right now. Overall, and I got to say thank you to everyone, total giving was $1,250,008.77. So thank you all very, very much for a very difficult year that you guys maintained your giving for 2021 and for 2020. In 2021, we anticipate, and this is anticipate, having the senior luncheon some point in time when it is safe to do so. I am confident that we'll be able to do our kickoff event again this September. And also, once we start meeting in person again, we will continue the bookmark campaign, which we will start as we finished last year to the Child's House for at least the next quarter. Finally, given numbers for 2021, we came in at, it's a little bit higher than what's printed in the bulletin, 264 units for a little over $1,006,830, which actually represents a slight increase per average donation than it was in 2021. So despite a very difficult year for everyone involved, you guys actually reached into your pockets and are giving more. So I want to say thank you very much to everyone involved. I also would like to say thank you to my committee, Barrett Peterson, Roger Aronson, and Mike Noble. And a special thank you to Kate Ingmanson and Chris Farr, who both rotated off the committee. Kate was a past chairman and was, just want to say thank you to everybody and thank you to everyone in the church for continuing and actually digging in a little bit more through a difficult year.
Hey, Bob, there's a quick question. What is units? When you say there's a unit, giving unit, what is that defined as?
That's defined as my wife and I pledge we're going to get X amount. We're considered a unit. So it's a household.
Which could be an individual as well.
Could be an individual. So if you say that you're going to give X amount of dollars to a church, you're considered one unit. If I say that I'm going to give X number of dollars and my wife says that she's going to give X number of dollars, that's 2 units. So it's whoever, so it's that much.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much. Hey, everybody have a great, great day.
Appreciate it. All right. I'm going to now call on Carl Amundsen. He is the former chair of the Administration and Finance Committee, and he's going to talk about our finances in 2020 and report on the 2021 budget.
Thank you, Alex. Hi, everyone. If you could see me on your screen, I wish you all could join me here at Augusta. I'm on the fairway, saving my seat for the Masters this year. I am Carl Amundsen. I've been chair of the Admin and Finance Committee for the last couple years. It's been a privilege to serve in that capacity, and the chair will now pass to Gary Game in 2021. But I'd like to thank the committee members who lend their time and skills, many of whom have served for many years. And a special shout out goes out to Tim Downing, who's been our longest running member and served as chair in the past. Tim finally rolled off the committee at the end of 2020. So I want to thank you, Tim, for volunteering all your time and work. The year of 2020 started with a lot of excitement. The church approved an optimistic budget to fund $1.4 million of programming, missions, youth activities, and important building improvements and maintenance. Of course, with COVID, we were forced to suspend all indoor activities in March, and it put almost all programming on hold at that point. I'm going to walk through some of the financial reports, which the reports begin on page 19 of the supplement handout in the meeting package. You might have that in front of you. It starts with the cash flow statement, or you could call it the income statement. And as Bob reported on, our church was very fortunate throughout much of the year as giving and donations from the congregation maintained at strong levels on par with 2019 for the most part through the summer months. However, lockdowns meant that the outside income from building, room rentals, and parking lot spaces went to zero. And then in the fall, when we typically see an increase in attendance as families would return from summer vacation and children return to Sunday classes, since we couldn't resume this activity, we saw a sharp shortfall in giving levels over the last 4 months of the year. So we did end 2020 short of our giving and income budget by about $130,000. However, due to the inability to resume that programming, those expenses also ran below budget. And we ended the year with a $27,000 surplus at the bottom line for 2020. And during the year, we did fund about $60,000 of a $105,000 approved capital spend budget, which funded important building improvements and maintenance, including work in the parking lot, roof shingles, the sanctuary stage. There's also a few projects such as the new phone system, which everybody is highly anticipating. We had to push that into the next year. So we're hoping that can be completed sometime in 2021. Also during the year, we did complete a planned church checkup process. So we engaged the accounting firm of Cape and Krause to perform this review, which is a service they perform for churches all around the country. And they looked at church policies, governance, internal controls, and financial reporting. And this report was shared with session, and we were pleased that the church received a very positive report. It confirmed that we do a lot of things right. And we also compare favorably on most financial benchmarks. There are some recommendations on church policies that were made, and they're being considered for implementation. I'm going to move on to a couple comments on the balance sheet on page 21. You can see cash investments remain at a very healthy level at above $1 million. And this includes our general fund balances as well as those reserved for specific restricted use. There is a $139,000 note payable in the liability section. And this amount is known as the PPP loan or COVID relief funds that were provided as part of the CARES Act by the US Congress. So the church received a total of about $196,000, and $57,000 of that was transferred to the operations of Parents Day Out, or the PDO program. That's accounted for separately from church operations. The remaining $139,000, while showing as a loan at December 31st, it's now been forgiven under the regulations. So now it's been moved into the general fund for 2021. It is worth noting the general fund did decrease during 2020 from $359,000 at December of 2019 to $336,000 at 2020, even though we showed a surplus for the year. And this is due to $50,000 being transferred from the general fund to our restricted fund for the chapel expansion project that was approved by session. This is a project is a capital expense, and it doesn't flow through the operating statement. So that brings us to the 2021 budget as shown on page 22. And the committee went through the regular budget process at the end of the year, working with each committee to understand their plans and missions for the upcoming year. And the expense budget for this year of $1.4 million is essentially equal to the budget we had for last year. And this was approved by session at the January meeting. And while giving and income levels are projected to be down due to continued COVID crisis, a budget shortfall of $130,000 has been approved. And this is being made up by the level of the PPP funds that we had received. And should COVID lockdowns continue longer than expected, there are expenses and projects that can and will be adjusted just to control and manage the potential for a larger deficit. So wrapping up, I want to thank Debbie Walter, our business administrator, for her work in keeping the books, to Carolyn Selke, our church treasurer and member of our committee, for her oversight and the time she puts in. And to really all our session members and all the committee chairs and members for their care, effort, and responsible management of our church resources. So with that, I'll throw it back to you, Alex.
Thank you, Carl. I don't see any other questions in the chat. I will wait a second in case there is. All right. Okay, this will move us now. I'd like to call on Cynthia Hiskis, who is the chair of our Personnel Committee, and she's going to present the amendment to the congregational bylaws.
Thank you, Alex. How nice to hear what positive things have been happening and what a great year we had amidst such challenging circumstances everyone faced. So it's kind of really nice to hear this in summary. I would like to make a motion to approve the following: amending the bylaws of the congregation. Under bylaw 11, entitled The Session, change the second sentence to read as follows: the number of elders in active service shall not exceed 17, nor be less than 11, as determined from time to time by the session or by the congregation.
Is there a second to this motion? Okay, I see a second from Bob Churchill. So seeing that, we can now, I would like Cynthia now to go into making a presentation about this proposed amendment, and then we will open up the floor for questions.
Thank you, Alex. Some of you may have had the opportunity to read the white paper that was sent in a link as part of the announcement for the congregational meeting. I am going to take a little bit of time to review that white paper because it provides some context for the motion that we are about to discuss. So the motion reflects a change in the size of session, as the size of the congregation has changed since the bylaws were first adopted in 1996, which was 25 years ago. Membership in 1996 was 2,429 and is currently 972. The motion is consistent with previous changes made to the size of the boards of the church, such as the reduction in the size of the Board of Deacons in 2009. A range in the number of elders in active service enables the session to continue to fulfill its constitutional responsibilities as stated in the Book of Order, and it allows for flexibility in the event changes that may arise over time in the ministry and mission of the church. Last year, you might recall that we participated in the Congregational Assessment Tool, which is called the CAT survey for short. We did that to gather feedback and capture the current state of health of First Pres. If you read the executive summary or attended one of the congregational discussions held by our consultant, you would have learned that, and I quote, overall, we are strong and a thriving congregation. We also had a lot of more detailed feedback that underpins that summary. Session has contemplated that feedback, both the positive and the negative, and has discussed various elements within our purview. Now we're coming to you with a request that requires congregational approval. We would like to change the size of session to more effectively deliver our mission. On behalf of session, I would like to take the opportunity to share context for that request. In the executive summary, our consultant, Susan, stated, now is the time for further conversation and strategic action around what this data is telling us and to what God's calling us to do in this next chapter of our life in ministry together. To become self-satisfied is to risk decline. If our mission as a congregation is still compelling, what is the vision for how we will live this mission in the coming years? We have much to celebrate and to be thankful for, and we are left with some important things to ponder and act upon. End quote. We do believe that our mission to be followers of Jesus in the Matthew 25 congregation is still compelling. The question becomes, how do we live that mission and how do we take action? We don't think the current structure and approach to session helps us create and manage a plan for our future. We would like to shift our routines to a more collective focus on our future, one that leverages our strengths, addresses those opportunities, and is in tune with the congregation. Reducing the size of session will facilitate more in-depth and richer conversations. The current size is simply too large to have those kinds of constructive, in-depth conversations, reach decisions, and act. Session is currently determined by the number of church committees. There are 11 committees, and with some exceptions, there are usually 2 elders per committee. This means that each session meeting has approximately 25 people in attendance. It's a good thing we have a really big room and a really big table to sit around, and that includes the pastors. We meet once a month for about 2 to 3 hours, and this allows each elder to focus on supporting their piece of the session, which is essentially their committee. The model has served us well for many years, but in it, there is little time for session to have discussions and make decisions about the future. As a result, that work often As a result, that work often falls to pastoral leadership, which was also referenced in the CAT survey assessment as not being sustainable. This is a change. It's an opportunity for us to engage the membership of our church in a different way. The recommendation from the consultant and the subcommittee is for our elders to be more focused on vision and strategy rather than on leading the committees. Practically, this means that elders will no longer be required to chair committees. Some committee chairs will be drawn from the membership of the congregation, giving them time to plan, execute, and enhance their committee work, as they will not have to dedicate time to session meetings. Pastors and staff will continue to remain liaisons to the church committees. Likewise, the session will become more focused on setting the direction of the church and communicating that direction to the committees who can focus on execution. Our current bylaws set the number of session to range from as few as 21 to as many as 30. We would like to change that range to 11 to 17. It may be helpful to know that this is not an unusual action to take for other churches or for us. We have altered the size of session before, and it's simply time to do it again. What we propose is clearly within the guidelines of the Book of Order and our congregational bylaws. So if approved, session's next step is to build a comprehensive transition plan. Our goal is to have that plan completed by the summer so that we can complete the transition by the end of 2021. This would allow the nominating committee to create the next slate of elders with that new structure in mind, so we can begin with the new size in 2022. We hope you have all had the opportunity to review the motion and consider, and I open for any questions.
So if you have any questions, just either put your name into the chat, let me know that you want to speak, or you can put that question into the chat itself. Mario, would you like to say something? Go ahead. You want to unmute yourself?
We've been actually trying this over the last couple of years. Tom Carroll and I were asked to join the session without committee responsibility to help with strategy and advice. And I was called to chair the vision committee after I joined session. And so we've been practicing this a little bit. And I don't think Tom and I would have been able to participate on session had we not been unencumbered by committee work. And I want to point something out that's really important from the CAT survey. We were told that we need to move from a pastoral and leadership-centric congregation to a congregational-centric church. And when we started asking questions for the reasons we do things, the reasons we have sizes of committees, the reason elders have to be on committees and lead them, we found out through Tom Pardo, we don't need to. It was a false understanding. What really excites me is the fact that we open up leadership of the church from these 11 committees staying on session to the broad congregation who may have excitement and skills associated with it. It also allows us not to be encumbered by the number of committees and open up the creativity and abundance in the congregation that is yet to have a voice that practically hasn't just been able to get through the system. And so as we move into hopefully moving forward with this, the task force that I'm starting to pull together to do the work show a lot of excitement in bringing this to the congregation, opening up more and more conversations with the congregation to give us input on how we do this and the things that we'll do, which opens us up to asking more questions and doing more and more creative things with a greater input from the congregation, and then having a session that talks about the vision and the strategy and the spiritual vitality of our church, and engaging in, I think, more of a truer elder and deacon role as was done back in the early church almost 2,000 years ago. So I want to thank Cynthia, who's been the vice chair in running this, and Tom Pardo, Tom Carroll, Bob Churchill, Laura Carlson for now being the Standing Vision and Strategy Committee. And we will move forward, should you give us the approval, to put the final members of the team together to start doing planning and transition for just this start, I think, of some exciting things to come. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Mario. There is a question from Nancy Lincoln about the nominating committee. Will the nominating committee choose elders, nominees, or the pastors?
The nominating committee will choose the elder nominees, not the pastors. You can correct any, is that clear?
Right.
Yep, just as we are today.
Are there any other questions? All right, so hearing none, we're going to attempt to do this voting thing with the polls. See how it works. Oh, that's not good. I'm logged in.
What's wrong?
It says I'm logged in from another device. Your polling session isn't active. That is not true. I'm logged in from the device that, maybe because it was made on Mary's computer, it's not allowed.
You can do it raising hands.
Yeah, I guess that. So I guess the only way that we'll do it is if you let's do it this way. I think that probably this would be the easiest thing to do. We would, if you, well, there's a function on your thing, the reactions, and you can do a thumbs up for it. So I'm going to ask for a yay and a nay, and so we'll have. I guess I'll have to have Laura to just look through and make sure, and we'll see if it's a majority, and then we'll go from there. So I apologize to everyone for this. Yes, Cynthia.
Alex, there's another question that came into the chat.
Yes. Frank, would future committee leaders have terms of service limits as elders currently have?
Not necessarily.
Well, I mean, generally, it has been a general theme that a person serves on a committee for 6 years at a maximum, and then they roll off for a period of time. So that would probably be kept in place. That's not like a rule, but it's a rule of thumb that we have to keep people kind of going, so that we can get new blood in and have people rotate.
Alex, a quick follow-up on that. That's the kind of question we want the subcommittee to do the planning to ask the questions, the reasons we've done things, and is it necessary to continue to do it that way? So those are the kind of questions we really welcome, that challenge our thinking and get the congregation members to help determine these, not just the elders or those who are currently officers.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that, Mario. There's a question on the hand sign. So if you look at the bottom of your, it depends. Now, if you're on a phone, I don't know what it looks like. I can tell you on the computer, at the bottom, there are reactions. And one of the reactions that you can have, I think, is a thumbs up. Some of you actually have a hand raising function. I don't have that on mine. It's different on different machines. So what I'm going to do is we're going to put it to a vote, and I'm going to say all in favor, and then you'll do your hand sign, and then we'll take a minute.
We don't have that.
All right. So let's see. So all in favor, please give a thumbs up if you are in favor of this particular motion.
Maybe we have it. We got it.
Or you can just go like this and hold your. All right, so keep them up there if you have your hand up.
Yeah, keep it up so I can.
Laura, any feel good?
I'm still counting.
I can't tell you how much time I spent getting these polls set up. This really burns me, I just have to say.
Well, it's always nice to do it the physical way, even though we're separate.
I can't hear you, Laura. You're muted.
Okay, pardon me. It would help if everyone would just click that sign for the vote in approval and then leave their screen alone, because each time I go down to count, if you do something, it changes the participant order, and then I have to recount again. So hang in there for a moment, please. Thank you.
Okay. Are you almost? The raised hand, the thumbs up function does go away, so keeping your finger up would be helpful.
And we have a majority. The motion passes.
Great.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
All right. I do have to just give I think that probably for procedural purposes, I should let people, if they want to say no, to say no. So anyone who wants to vote no, please say no.
Absolutely. So take your hand.
And then any abstentions. All right. Are we good to go, Laura, or? Oh yeah, you also have to lower your hand. Okay.
Wow, this is boring.
We are good to go.
All right, cool. Thank you. All right. So at this time, thank you for bearing with me, everyone. The motion passes. Thank you very much. I want to say thank you to the committee for all of their hard work, the subcommittee for doing that. I'd now like to call on Cynthia Hiskis to report on the terms of call to the congregation. And for this part of the meeting, do I have a motion to have Cynthia serve as moderator during the presentation of terms of call? Bob gave a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, you got a second. Thank you. So all in favor, just raise your hand. Thanks. We're not going to count everybody. Any opposed? Okay, I assume we're all good. All right, so what's going to happen is, just so you know, Cynthia does have control of the meeting at this point. I'm going to be leaving. The pastors will be leaving. We'll be texted when you guys are done. She's going to share the screen to show you the terms of call, because last year it was asked that you all could see them side by side, 2020, 2021. She'll show that to you on the screen. Are you good with that, Cynthia?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
No problem.
All right.
Okay.
We'll be
Great.
back.
Thank you. Okay, everybody. I'm putting on a different hat. And before we get to terms of call, what I'd like to do is just cover the overall Personnel Committee report for 2020, as other committee chairs have done. In summary, I just wanted to say most of probably 3 or 4 main areas of focus for us for 2020. One was really aligning the resources that we have on staff to make sure that they were focused on what needed to be done for the church in 2020. We hired Tony Shurich, who started as our facilities director, and we refreshed that role, and then complementary how Michelle Holyfield's role as facilities coordinator fits with that, so that we could really use Tony's expertise to focus on a lot of the maintenance issues and issues and work that just need to be done overall, and some of the new work that we need to have done. And then really allow Michelle to help execute some of that work, but continue to serve as a great liaison for us for outreach into the community as well. So that has worked out really well for us. As Alex mentioned earlier, we were able to support 2 interns this summer to be part of our staff. One was Connor, who helped with the video that we showed earlier. And then the other was Tom Parrish, who is considering a career in ministry. So it was really nice to be able to have them as church members engage in the church in a different way than they have done before. And also for us to be able to appreciate and take some of their good work and contribute it to the congregation. So we look forward to being able to do that again this year. And then the other thing is we were able to invest and kind of reallocate resources so that we could improve kind of the quality and the volume of our online presence and digital presence, given that much of our communication in 2020 was either online or in video. So we wanted to be able to do that in a way that was going to be was most appealing for those of us in the congregation who were experiencing it. So we feel pretty good about all of those aspects. Any questions on that portion of the report? Okay, great. Then I'd like to present the pastoral terms of call. I'm going to share my screen, and let me make sure that I am doing that well. Okay, I told Alex that I was going to be able to do this.
Cynthia?
Yes.
It's Laura. If I could just ask before you begin the vote, for those who have their hands still raised, would they please lower those hands until so that we are all clear, and then when you have the motion, we can have them raise hands. I see at least a half a dozen who have their hands raised.
Yes, exactly. So if you currently have your hand raised, please click to take it down.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now what you will see, let me put this in presentation mode. Okay, so what you will see on this slide is we have 3 different slides, terms of call for each individual pastor, and I will go through each of them. And the first one we'll look at is TC that you see here. The format is the same for all of them. Terms of call for 2020 is on the left, and then terms of call for 2021 is on the right. The approach for all of the pastoral staff was the same in terms of the increase for the year. Overall, there was an overall 3% increase to their salary and housing. So I will leave that sit for a minute before I change to the other pastors. Okay, I'm going to move to Judy. So you can see the only change that you'll see in the different line items between 2020 and 2021 is salary and pension insurance, which is driven from salaries. And then I will move to Alex's. And these increases were taken into account in the information that Carl shared earlier with the 2021 budget. Are there any questions? Oh, I guess I'm supposed to make the motion and then we talk about questions. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the pastoral terms of call as recommended by the Personnel Committee and session?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Cynthia, would you mind moving the shared screen so that otherwise I'm not going to be able to see?
Oh yeah, sure, no problem.
Thank you.
There you go. Okay, so I'll come back again now that we can see each other. Do I have a motion to approve the pastoral terms of call as recommended by the Personnel Committee and the session?
So moved.
Thank you, Hal. Is there a second?
Second.
Excellent. And now we can move to polling. I guess, wait, but shouldn't we have questions first, Laura?
We should have discussion first.
We should have discussion, yes. Thank you.
Yes, discussion. And if there are any questions, you can send them to the chat for discussion. Get recognized.
Okay. So then, Laura, may I move to a vote?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
Oh, wait,
so there is.
Pardon me, Cynthia. I now see a question from Kevin Kelly. You see?
Why is TC's salary so low? Kevin, are you saying comparatively speaking or just in general? You can unmute yourself and talk if you want.
Both.
Both? Okay. Well, let me speak just like this year. We did not choose to make any, we chose to keep all increases the same in 2021. Given the state of our financial situation right now, we wanted to make sure that one, we did give some increases because as you heard earlier, the church staff has really been working hard to adjust and continue to deliver against our mission and their roles against that. So we wanted to keep everything fairly similar in that regard. TC is less simply from historically where he came in and where he has, where he came in his tenure in the church and his experience. So that was more from like historically what we've done, and then we didn't choose to make any difference in that this year. I don't know that there's any other reason than that.
Kevin needs to unmute.
I did. I just did.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Other questions or other items for discussion? Okay.
Just this is Dan Berg. It's just to add on to that question. Is that comparable to other pastors at this point in his career? You know, at other churches?
You know, I honestly can't say for sure. I would have to follow up. We didn't do any kind of external benchmarking against that, Dan. I know certainly a while ago when we hired TC, some of that work would have been done, but also it would have been somewhat constrained by our own internal budget as well.
Yeah, it just seems like I agree with Kevin that, you know, maybe it's something worth reviewing.
Yep. I can certainly note that. Some external benchmarking perhaps, as well as maybe just a review.
Yeah, just to make sure that it's competitive with other people in his position and at that point in his career.
Great, thank you. Any others?
Cynthia, when you compare it with others, check the amount of time and that they put in, because I know TC does a lot of mission trips. He's gone weeks at a time during the year, that kind of thing. And I don't know if many pastors do that.
Sure, I can certainly do that.
Cynthia, do you see this chat?
I do. There is a note in the chat from Carolyn and Dan Selke that says, according to the Cape and Krause review, which I'm not familiar with that, our pastoral staff is at a high compensation level. Carolyn or Dan, if you wanted to share any more information, you can do that.
Hi, this is Carolyn. The Cape and Krause review looked at our, not just TC, but the whole pastoral staff, and the compensation package we offer our pastoral staff is comparable, if not high, to the other pastoral staff in the Chicagoland area. Just as a reference.
Super helpful. Thank you, Carolyn.
Yep.
Anything else? Yep. Lois?
No.
No, okay. Okay. Any others before we move to, and Laura, I'm going to ask you, do we need to redo the motion, or do we just go to voting now?
I think we could just.
Just chime in real quick.
Yep. Go ahead, Bob.
FYI, for you guys to just understand that, and I understand it looks like TC's salary is very low, but you also got to take into account he's getting $18,000 for our housing. When you break it out, it looks like this, but you got to add all that in together to get his full compensation. So just FYI.
And they choose that.
It's still low though.
Well, yes, but I mean, it's still, I mean, just got to take that into account as well.
That's why there's a lot of turnover in that type of position.
Mm.
We want to make sure we keep them.
Okay.
One could say the same thing for Judy, given her number of years of experience in her position. You know, that's a modest salary given her responsibilities and her years of service.
Yeah, much of what you both raise, and probably others are share a sentiment that you share, is the salaries are modest, even though, as Carolyn commented, are competitive. And it's been quite a year, and our staff has continued to deliver and go above and beyond, and that's been very impressive, and we're of course quite thankful for that. Which is one of the reasons that even though there are potentially challenging times, we want to make sure that we can continue to recognize them.
Yeah, I think.
But I definitely noted your comments.
I think it's useful. The comments are certainly correct on our point, and particularly with TC, we want to make sure we're competitive because his role is perhaps the most competitive within the industry generally, and hard to find individuals. But pastoral income is a little different than for most of us. So the housing allowance is not treated as taxable income. So there is a, shall we say, compared to other people's compensation, there's a significant difference in the economic reality in the compensation package. And it's equivalent to the private industry compensation would be a fair bit higher.
Thank you, Barrett. Okay. Now we are ready to call for a vote. So all those in favor of the terms of call for the pastors as recommended by Personnel Committee and Session, please raise your hand.
Your hand up.
Hand up, you mean?
Hand up, thumb up, whatever you can do.
Whatever you can do.
And then Laura, and then don't touch your screen anymore until Laura's done counting.
Yes, thank you. Because right now it's flickering quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, we are good to go. The motion passes.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And then Alex will be returning shortly, and I will happily give him back control of the meeting. Thanks.
I don't even see myself anymore. Here I am.
Cynthia.
Yes.
You texted them.
Oh, no, but I can. No problem.
All right. Are we good to go?
We're good to go.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. So thank you, Cynthia, for leading that part of the meeting. I appreciate it. And
you bet.
Thank you for all your work when it comes to doing personnel. I really appreciate it. Okay, so now I want to call on Barrett Peterson from the Board of Trustees. He's going to conduct the meeting of the corporation. Barrett.
Thanks, Alex. I'd like to call the corporation meeting together. I appreciate all of you sticking around for an hour and a quarter. I know this is the highlight of the annual meeting, so without too much further ado, I'd like to ask Bill Christian to give us a little report on facilities and grounds. Are you here, Bill? Oh,
Bill, you're muted.
Unmute Bill.
Now, Bill, lower left, unmute, if you would. You're still muted.
Okay, now it should be there.
There you go.
Okay. As others have said previously, we had a tough year as far as the church meetings went. The session was only able to meet twice during the session. The trustees were only able to meet twice in person during the year. But in spite of that, things did get done. For instance, the control boxes for the irrigation system along Dunton and in the Memorial Prayer Garden were replaced. The outside of the building in many areas needed tuck pointing. That was also completed. Through a generous donation, solar panels were installed on the roof of the sanctuary and business building. The Sun Badger Company took care of the installation, and they were recently brought online. West parking lot, which was badly in need of repairs, that got taken care of, and it really looks nice. The garbage receptacles in the parlor, narthex, and lobby have been replaced. The ginkgo trees in the west lot have been removed, and there will be something brought in sometime in 2021. We welcomed Tony Sirschitz as a new director of facilities. He got right to work repairing the Memorial Prayer Garden door. It now closes like it should have. The sanctuary has been renovated to provide a larger permanent stage area again, with Tony leading the way. The electrical box in the east parking lot has been brought up to date to prevent fires and individual use of our electricity. Plans have been started to renovate the chapel area to allow for more seating, updated decor. This will also include the installation of an elevator to allow everyone to access Fellowship Hall and the chapel and the gym as needed. That's what I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. There was one minor adjustment that was made that we should mention in passing. For those of you who enjoyed the chilled narthex in the morning, unfortunately, we fixed that problem. So now it'll be the warm narthex in the morning.
Yes, it is.
I'd like to now call on Jim Graves for the endowment committee report.
Great, thanks. Some good news to report on this one. So you can see on the document, the endowment fund continues to grow. Those of you that are in the investment world know that we have really good months and Last year we had some really bad months, but overall we're continuing on a 10% growth rate in the investment portfolio, and that is after taking out almost $28,000 last year to fund the distribution. So good news, solid partnership with Morgan Stanley as they help us invest these funds, and I believe we'll continue to provide some solid stewardship on this. Couple of uses of the distributions last year. $2,000 used by Mission and Outreach for PADS program, and not that any of us have seen it, but Music bought a timpani last year, and we're looking forward to being able to experience that when we get back together. Again, in spirit of the positive news, we're able to put almost $30,000, $29,800 into the non-operating budget discretionary funds for this year. We had a carryover of unused funds from prior years. So as we go into 2021, we're sitting at almost $125,000 of additional funds beyond the operating budget that is available for use. So good news on this front. And that's all I have to report on that.
Thanks, Jim. We really appreciate that. Are there any other items that need to come before the corporation, or any questions on that? If not, theoretically, I'm going to call on the polling questions, but we won't do that. Is there a motion to adjourn the corporation meeting? Just raise your hand. Or
Said yes, Sue Henderson.
like to have the corporation meeting run forever.
Adjourn.
I think we consider that carried here a little bit.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Barrett. We will say the meeting of the corporation is now closed. Okay. I appreciate the time that you've given to that, Barrett. I'd now like to call on Marjorie Locke, chair of the All Church Nominating Committee, to present the at-large members of the 2021 All Church Nominating Committee for election.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to make this very brief because we're running a rather long congregational meeting. I would like to nominate the following people for at-large memberships on the 2021 All Church Nominating Committee. They are Mike Beecher, Ed Harding, Kathy Martin, and Laura Ryerson.
Are there any nominations from the floor? You can put them in the chat if there are. Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the nominations?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. There was supposed to be a poll on the screen. That's not there. So all in favor of the slate of at-large nomination for the 2021 All Church Nominating Committee, raise your hands.
Go. There we are.
Is anybody, all right. Laura, tell me when you got that.
We have a majority.
All right. Go ahead and pull your hands down. If you put your hands up, take them down now. Is there anybody who wants to vote no on this? All right. Any abstentions? All right. The slate of nominees is elected. Thank you very much. I'm going to pass it back to Marjorie.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Just so everyone knows, besides the at-large members that you just elected, the officers that will be serving on the 2021 All Church Nominating Committee are myself, Tom Pardo as the elder representatives, Kate McVeigh as the trustee rep, and Mary Halatek as the deacon rep. I want to thank the new committee for being willing to do this work. We're meeting shortly after this, this meeting today. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the members of the 2020 nominating committee for their service last year. They were Joe Christian, Dave Krim, Phyllis Green, Doug Hiskis, Barbara McDowell was the chair, Matt Meisterheim, Kirsten Olson, and Hal Stern. Thank you all very much. We always are looking for people who are interested in serving. So if you are or know someone that you think would be a good candidate, please reach out to the committee. Thanks so much. Alex?
Thank you very much. I know you all would love to continue this meeting ad nauseum all day, but I will ask if there is any further business that needs to come before the congregation at this time. You can enter it into the chat if necessary. All right, hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. There was supposed to be a thing on your screens. All in favor? I'm feeling everybody will vote yes on this. Raise your hand. Anybody say no? All right. The annual meeting is adjourned. I'm going to offer a quick prayer and let you all leave. Lord, I want to thank every single person who contributed, everybody who's here today. We wish everyone the very best. We hope that everybody's staying safe inside and warm. And we look forward to the day when we can be together again. Thank you for the continued participation. And as we are in Lent and move our way towards Easter, I hope that we will walk alongside Jesus and remember how important his death and resurrection is to us in our personal faith journey and as Christians as we try to create your kingdom in the world. In Jesus' name, amen. Everybody, have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll see you around.
Oh, well. I guess.